There's one way offshore just blinked. I mean,
Step forward now.
crazy.
Yeah, I see it. You see it with you?
There's two right there, yeah. There's two.
I tell you, wait till you see the video.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting two at one time.
Oh, yeah, one moving across the sky. We're moving across the sky right now.
Yeah, everybody watch.
It's coming, it's
right
so
up
bright.
here. Look.
Look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hallelujah.
Thank you.
That's what we're looking for.
Thank you.
Now, if you would, come off the ocean. That's one of these balls of light. I guarantee you, shot up, come this way. Look, straight up, straight up. You got another one left.
Wow.
See it right up here? It's moving that way, north.
It's disappearing. It's going away, it looks like. The higher one is going away. I can still see it in this.
So, I want you to stop that recording and restart it.
Okay.
His name is Chris Bledsoe, and he is considered the world's most credible UFO experiencer. He has been studied by NASA, the CIA, academics, and the Defense Intelligence Agency. In 2013, he received a shocking prophecy about the near future of humankind, a prophecy that concerns us all. It spoke of the year 2026 and announced a global change for our planet. Chris wrote it down and gave it to a friend from NASA, who in turn took it to the Pentagon. And today he is going to share some details that he has never shared before regarding the content of this prophecy.
In your book, The UFO of God, you mentioned that higher intelligent beings have been participating in the development of mankind since the beginning of ages, and that they are related, to the Ezekiel's chariots of fire and all these events mentioned in the Bible. For people who don't know about you, Chris, and don't know about this phenomenon, could you begin by telling them how all this began and what type of contacts have you had with these orbs?
I see the orbs continuously, daily. That's a daily part of my life. The whole thing, remember, this was in '07 when I told about this, and thinking the world was going to be happy and, it was going to really be something. We've discovered we're not alone, right? The next 5 years become basically hell for me and my family. The community, the church, the relatives. For the first 5 years, it was terrible. My kids would go to school and come home. My little girl was 10 years old when it happened, so she was terrified. The church was really protecting her and my kids, which that's what they were doing, what they thought was right. On Easter Saturday night before Easter in 2012, I had really had all the guilt I could take about what happened with my children and my family and how bad it had gotten. And so I went outside that night and shouted to the heavens. And I'm seeing these beings a lot. I'm seeing them, a shadow go across the yard. An orb would flash and you could see them run across the yard. They look translucent when they do that. And orbs always around and over the house and, running cameras and stuff. I could never get a picture. I could never share with anybody for the first 5 years other than my children. I could go out and we'd all see it. But if I brought some stranger over or somebody else, it wouldn't know, it would never appear. But that night I went out and I shouted to the heavens and I said, I'm done with this. I don't want to ever talk about this ever again. My children are worse off than ever now because of me and all this. And I said, I'll never talk about it again. I'm just done. So I went to bed. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard this loud voice that just said, arise. And it was in a manly, deep voice, but so loud it woke me up from my dead sleep till I'm sat up in my bed and I saw the clock said 3 a.m. And I don't know what happened to me. Next thing I know, I'm fully dressed and I'm outside. They whatever they can do to you. I'm outside and it's April. And I'm behind these three shadowy figures. I'm in the woods by the dog kennel. This wind, it wasn't in the whole trees around me. It wasn't the whole forest. It was a directed blast of air in front of me. Hit me so hard it blew me over backwards. As in I'm falling completely backwards to the leaves on the ground. I see what looked like a huge 1,000-pound or bigger bull, cow, bull. It was a bull. It ran over me, and as it went over me, I could see through it. It was translucent. I could see the stars through it. When I hit on my back, I rolled to my stomach to get up and run, and there wasn't no going anywhere because there was no more cow there. There's a woman now about 6 feet, 8 feet from me, just out of arm's reach. I'm on my knees. She's floating about 3 feet off the ground, and her dress is like a Roman dress with a collar, and her sleeves are out to her wrists and down to the tops of her feet, barefooted. She's floating. And she looks at me, and she said, "You know why I'm here." She said, "This is your burden. You must bear." So she was really chastising me for me quitting that night. I knew that's why what she meant when she said that. You know why I'm here. And she said, "You got to tell the world what you know, and I'll help you. And I'll always be there with you. And from this point forward, I'll let you take and video us and share our presence with others." None of this was ever possible until she came. When that lady came, she changed everything for me and my whole family. And it got the attention of the highest authorities from other governments, along with ours, and, a lot of people. So this is 2013, a year later. The lady comes again on Easter. I write about this in the book, not to get into too much detail, but she came the first time. She said, "I'm going to help you." And I began to be able to take photos and share with others. The next year she came, she told me about a date in 2026 to when there'd be a big change, which I put in writing and gave it to a friend from NASA, which took it to the Pentagon. That's what he said he wanted it for, to share with a couple of Air Force generals what the lady told me. Well, I can tell you what the lady told me, and she told me enough that it left me confused a bit. But she said, basically, she said that there is a shift in the powers in the heavens, and that the manly rule becomes violent when it gets upset. In other words, man becomes warlike when you get it out of place, but the feminine doesn't. And that the feminine energy is going to take over, and there'll be a time of peace, but there'll be trouble beforehand. And that's all she said. So basically, what that trouble is, I think we're seeing it now, and it can escalate worse. But I think in time, there'll be.
Are you talking about a shift in the power in the heavenly realms or in the world power?
I think in both. I think the shift into the Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, is the major shift in the heavens she was talking about, which astrology plays a big part on how we're live on this planet. The church tells you to stay away from it, stay away. Well, there's some real something there, and but there again, I don't like being prophetic about any of it. It's just.
But she did mention this, and precisely she talked about 2026, that there would be like a shift.
Yeah, she said there'll be a new knowledge. And the way I realized she told me this in 2013, and that's when I put it in writing. So I started talking about it way back then. That's what, 10, 11 years ago. And I'm surprised that everybody now, the whole government and the news, is all talking about this date, 2026. So, but I think that eventually there'll be a time of peace. But I don't know what's going to happen between now and then.
You mean
I
world peace?
Yeah, I think there'll end up being world peace. We're only a one step away from it. We can go down the path of violence, or we can go up the path of peace and tranquility. And so we've got a choice. But that knowledge is coming. And I think that knowledge is that atheism and Darwinism and all that's got to go out the window, and the academic world is going to have to embrace there's something there that we don't understand, and to teach this kind of nonsense anymore has got to go. There's going to be a new knowledge, complete. Somebody created us. The human body is the most sophisticated machine ever created. And to think that it came from a mud puddle, a single cell by accident, is the most craziest idea. It just shows these people don't know.
You think this new knowledge can be that we are not alone in this universe?
Yeah. Which means a whole lot.
Right.
It changes everything.
It changes religion. It changes also science.
Yeah, it changes it all. And I think this is really the big knowledge, the new knowledge that they're talking about. As far as disasters and all, that's like rolling dice. I have no idea, and I can't help anybody there.
Could she be like what we call Mother Nature or Gaia or Virgin Mary or whatever?
Yeah, I think she's all that.
Or the female side of God.
To me, the Holy Spirit.
Because you know something, I was studying the origins of religions, and before the male figure of God appeared, the first statues in the Stone Age were of these big fat women.
The earliest depictions of God was a female. In fact, some of the earliest one dates back almost 750,000 years. Somebody back then was smart enough to create a statue that they found that's 750,000 years old.
Yeah,
and they found a bunch of these. A lot of people carried a little figure.
Yes, I read about that in the late Stone Age.
It's just some part of consciousness. This divine feminine energy. This lady is. I think she's in charge. I really do, and I think, like you said, the boys come along and kicked the women out and made a boys' club, and oppressed the women for all these years, and took all hints of any divine female from religion and made it all boys, and now look where we are.
Right.
I mean,
maybe
we're on the edge of disaster. And yeah, but I think there's a change coming, and it's hang on to your seatbelts, because the next couple of years is going to go. There's no telling where we go.
Great. Well, it's good to know that we only have to wait like a couple of years. 2026, right?
Well, that's what she said.
Well,
by then there would be a new knowledge.
You mentioned something in the end of your book. You say we can all have this experience. Just pick a spot in the sky and humble yourself before the heavens.
Yeah.
And connect your mind and heart and say out loud, I am here. It is not difficult to connect. There are no formal instructions.
I get a lot of people call me or write me and tell me after they read the book, they started seeing orbs. Yeah, do try. Don't ever quit. I think anybody and everybody can experience this. It's just you got to want to, and you got to accept the reality that it's there, because one thing, it don't want to go against your free will. So it's very careful with that. If you're a skeptic, you don't stand a chance to see it. It won't appear. It knows your thoughts, and it knows what you're thinking. And if you're not near as smart as this, I can tell you, whatever it is, it knows. I think it has the ability to watch what you're doing in advance, and then to wind things back and know when to insert itself. When you look one direction, when 20 others are standing around you, it knows when you're going to turn and look that way, when everybody else looks that way, and it'll appear just for you. And it knows how to do that. I've seen it 1,000 times do it. I've seen people come here that are complete skeptics, and it'll appear in front of 10 people, and that one person will never see it because it knows when it's going to look that way to appear with everybody else. It's that and smart. I very much think that they're interacting with humanity in some form. I think that they can bless you. They can make things happen in your life. I also think they can tear you down if they want. It's all according to where we live and our heart and what we think, and because they're tied to your thoughts. And that's a pretty amazing thing to think about when there's these beings above you that can change your course of life, that can make it good, or they can let you go away and go down your own path of ruin. Just stay grounded knowing there's a good and there's bad. There's both out there. Can't have one without the other. So keep your heart straight and kind and caring and humble and service to others. You know, help others when they need help, and don't turn your back on anybody that needs something, you know, sure enough. And I think that's a start, how to get closer to it. That's what I'm finding.
This has been the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.